Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today, mainly because we are tackling a topic that affects literally every single one of us in the digital age. So, we're going to look at boredom. But actually, scratch that. We're not looking at it as a curse, not as that agonizing, pull your hair out feeling you get sitting in a dentist waiting room. We are going to completely reframe boredom as a historical superpower. By digging into the sources today, we're going to uncover how the very thing we try so desperately to avoid might actually be the most fertile ground for human creativity. Right off the bat, I want you to honestly answer a question in your head. When was the last time you did absolutely nothing? And I mean nothing. Not watching a show, not listening to a podcast, definitely not swiping through a feed. Just sitting there with your own thoughts. If you're anything like most people today, just the mere thought of that empty time probably brings on a little bit of low-grade anxiety, right? We have been totally conditioned to fear the void. I mean, think about the pure panic that sets in the exact moment the Wi-Fi drops. In our modern, hyper-connected world, when the screens go black, the TV is off, the gamepad is dead, and the smartphone has zero signal, we're suddenly just sitting at a desk with a blank piece of paper, completely bewildered. We literally do not know what to do with ourselves. But the really fascinating thing here is that it wasn't always this way. Section 1. Historical Cures for Boredom. Let's take a breath, slow things down a bit, and go on a quick time-traveling journey to see how our ancestors naturally managed their time. For the vast majority of human history, boredom was just naturally staved off by necessity. Step 1 was pure survival, labor that took up literally all the daylight hours. Then, as we got a handle on basic survival, Step 2 evolved. Quiet evenings filled with community bonding and storytelling. And finally, Step 3, as early civilizations formed and we got a little more leisure time, we invented structured play. Let's break these down. The simple truth is, for early humans, there just wasn't time to be bored during the day. Any empty time was instantly filled by the sheer, grueling physical labor required just to not die. We're talking about hoeing fields for agriculture, chopping wood to keep from freezing, carrying incredibly heavy buckets of water over long distances, and cooking meals over an open flame. When your entire day is consumed by trying not to starve, your brain really doesn't have the luxury of craving a quick dopamine hit from a shiny screen. That physical exhaustion, that was the ultimate cure for idle time. But what happened when the sun finally went down and the physical work was done? Without televisions to switch on, that quiet evening void had to be filled somehow. And this is exactly where human imagination was born. Elders would gather the whole community around a campfire. The blank canvas of a pitch-black night became the backdrop for epic tales of dragons, scaling mountains, and building castles. Boredom literally forced the human mind to project these incredible, vivid narratives out into reality just to keep the group entertained. Section 2. The Creative Spark. So, moving from basic survival, it's wild to see how a historical lack of structured entertainment actively forced the human brain to just invent its own fun. Historically, kids didn't have algorithms spoon-feeding them endless content. They had to turn boredom into active physical play. Give a child an empty field and boom, they invent a ball game. Give them a random piece of wood and it instantly becomes a sword for an epic duel. Give them a pile of branches and their pure imagination constructs an impenetrable fortress. The boredom itself was the catalyst for all that invention. You can really think of the natural world as our original, fully immersive entertainment system. Before virtual reality, there was actual reality. If you had an afternoon with nothing to do, what did you do? You climbed a tree. You went swimming in a local river. You grabbed a net to catch butterflies, or you just laid back in the grass and watched the clouds roll by. There was an inherent peace in this, a quiet engagement with the environment that cured an empty afternoon without completely overwhelming your nervous system. Now here is the absolutely crucial point we need to connect. This empty space, this total lack of digital distraction, is exactly what fueled the greatest advancements of humanity. Without all that constant noise, humans turned to painting canvases. They wrote incredible literature. They played music and danced. They literally tinkered around and invented early machinery, like complex gear systems. Honestly, none of this would exist if their minds were constantly occupied by trivial distractions. Section 3. The Modern Scrolling Trap. But wow, let's look at the present day, because things have changed incredibly fast. Just think about the dizzying, swirling chaos around us right now. The moment we feel even a tiny twinge of boredom, literally 3 seconds in an elevator, we pull out the smartphone. We're instantly hit with this exhausting onslaught of app icons, email alerts, video feeds, and notifications. We use this digital noise to instantly numb the boredom, But let's be real, it doesn't make us feel entertained. It leaves us feeling hypnotized, drained, and just completely overwhelmed by the erratic speed of it all. This stark comparison is a pretty harsh reality we have to face. On one hand, we've seen how historical boredom actively led to brilliant invention, deep community connection, and highly imaginative play. But on the other hand, modern boredom leads almost exclusively to passive, infinite doom scrolling. We've essentially outsourced our imagination to screens. Instead of our brains doing the heavy lifting to create something new to fill the void is forcefully stuffed with pre-packaged content that, ironically, just leaves us feeling emptier than before. Section 4. Embracing the blank page. So, how do we fix this? Well, I want to reassure you that the incredible creative machinery inside your brain hasn't gone anywhere at all. We just need to remember how to boot it back up. Here is a super simple roadmap to doing exactly that. Step 1. Put down the phone. Physically separate yourself from the device. Step 2, and fair warning, this is the hardest part, endure the initial boredom. It will feel uncomfortable, your brain is going to scream for a quick dopamine hit, but sit through it. Step 3, let your mind wander. Just stare at a wall or look out a window. And finally, step 4, discover a new idea. If you give your brain the space, it will inevitably start solving problems and generating creativity completely on its own. Because when you actually sit through that initial boredom, look what happens. The mind is suddenly surrounded by a literal universe of ideas. The light bulb goes off. Books, musical notes, art palettes, spinning gears, and rocket ships just erupt from the imagination. By simply doing nothing for a little while, the brain fires up its native software and begins to build, dream, and truly innovate. To put it simply, sometimes boredom creates the absolute best ideas. A blank page on your desk or a completely quiet room in your house is not your enemy. It is not something you need to run away from by burying your face in a digital feed. It is a fertile ground. It's the soil from which your most profound thoughts, your best problem solving, and your deepest sense of peace will ultimately grow. So, I want to leave you with a final, provocative thought to really ponder today. Will you continue to let a glowing screen tell you a passive, endless story? Or will you have the courage to endure the quiet void and let boredom help you write your own? The choice is entirely up to you. In fact, I challenge you, put down your device right after this explainer ends and just see what happens. Thank you so much for joining me today, and as always, keep learning, keep questioning, and